We're going to go. Welcome to Breaking News with William Steele True Crime and Steele Spotlight Television. We have breaking news. We have a major acquittal in a gigantic case in New York City, the subway unfortunate death of an individual that was being violent towards passengers. And even bigger news, we have Luigi. Luigi, this guy murdered a healthcare executive in New York City, evidently, allegedly. So we have breaking news about that. We have all my co-hosts joining us, except for Frank Lordy, and Samantha would have liked to join in. I just spoke to her. She's probably going to do a show with us tomorrow, but this is real timely. We're going to get this out right now. And I have my co-host Louis B, Ignacio Esteban, and last but not least, Tommy Harding. So we're going to pull everybody up on the screen if I can figure out how to do that. All right, we got everybody on the screen. Welcome.
What's up, Bill?
How's everybody?
Who wants to lead us off?
I can start a little bit and let the guys go in here, but man, Luigi Mangione, man, that's a very prominent, rich family from the Maryland area, Baltimore. Came from privilege. He had gone to he was a valedictorian at his high school, one of the elite high schools, private schools in Maryland. Graduated top of his class, went to UPenn. Everybody knows, very Ivy League school in Philadelphia. And had a master's degree in computer science. Very smart guy. Could have done anything he wanted. He had the background. He had family in politics. His family were in nursing homes. I mean, they had it all. And unfortunately, he got caught up with his whole anti-healthcare. I mean, you can have disagreements with people, like the governor was saying, Shapiro of Pennsylvania. But this is no way how to handle things. And to assassinate a guy like this and the way he planned it. He was also a fan of the Unabomber, and he had liked the manifesto he wrote. And there's some comparisons between a brilliant guy like Theodore Kaczynski and this kid here, and going after the industrial complex, going after the elite who've been unjust to the people. But he himself is an elite and really came from that elite class himself, which is ironic.
He's suspected of killing Brian Thompson. Prayers go out to the victim's family. He's not necessarily charged in it yet. He is suspected. He was caught at McDonald's with a gun, a manifesto, and other incriminating evidence, multiple IDs. He matches the description.
And possible the murder weapon. He kept the murder weapon, Bill.
Yeah, he was no professional.
He still had the murder weapon with the silencer.
Yes, he had to suppress.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. He still had all that stuff.
I find it interesting. You said he went to UPenn, but we got a perp walk where evidently he's not only headed for the pen, the real pen with the bars, but he may be going to death row. We have quick footage, and then Louis, I want you to chime in right after this footage.
After this, we didn't want to miss this.
There he is.
Oh.
Perp walk. This could have been at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Well, that was it.
So that's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. They picked him out of McDonald's. Louis, what's your read on this case, this situation? What in the world's going on here, Louis?
In my mind, number one is why? What is his motive? What pushed him over the edge? There are things that I say about people all the time. Every time I see a homicide or what have you, there are several kinds of people out there. One is the goal-oriented person. Goal-oriented person, you can't stop because you don't know what he's thinking. Number two is you can never predict insanity. Now, this guy appears to be a little insane, and he put together a plan. That's the toughest guy to stop. How they caught him, these could have been the best detectives in the world, and I believe this wholeheartedly. These guys broke their ass doing what they had to do, following up every lead. I know how hard that is to do. A good detective is only as good as his informants. You reach out to everybody you know. Apparently, nobody knew anything here. And then the big magic word of luck comes in. We saw pictures of him, and somebody was smart enough to keep that picture in their mind and they turned him in. And the guy was a complete knucklehead.
They say he was a frequent passenger for McDonald's, and an employee at McDonald's recognized him and said, "That's him." Called him in. FBI's got a $50,000 reward. New York Police have $10,000. I hope the employees get it. Tommy, what are you feeling about this guy's time on the run? You were a bounty hunter. What's going on with this clown?
Well, the crazy thing about this is, first of all, I do applaud the police and everybody in their efforts, but it came down to some fucking, excuse my language, some guy or female at McDonald's that just recognized him. That's all. That's all it takes. Somebody to drop the dime on you. Not only that, but he got caught with the smoking gun.
Yeah, that's smart.
For killing Brian Thompson, he got caught with the suppressor. A firearm is probably the firearm is probably the one that he used in the homicide or execution, more or less.
Yeah.
He had a description of the area all written out in a manifesto. So he's not the smartest or the shiniest apple in the barrel, obviously, and it was just a matter of time. But I didn't think it was going to be that fast. And I thought it might have been a professional, but this guy's not a professional.
No.
Obviously, listen, obviously, jackasses comes in all forms. They come in all forms, and it just happened to be from a prominent family. I guess can't get no more Italian than that, Luigi. I mean, come on,
I try not to make light of the death penalty because it's a serious thing, but he's literally facing it. I believe they still have it in New York, if not mistaken.
I don't think they have it in New York, do they?
Oh, they stopped it?
Well,
anyway.
It wouldn't matter anyway, because one thing for sure, he'll get the white privilege and he'll get the best attorneys, and they'll save his life. They'll save his life. He won't be executed because they got the money to make a deal.
In this case, you see he's got a Happy Meal, and there's a lot of footage out there saying he's like really, really crazed about going to McDonald's. Now, years ago, we hit so many McDonald's restaurants, or I did. All their safes were the same back in the day, just like all their Big Macs are the same. And so they started calling me the Hamburglar. So this guy's the murder burglar, the murder McDonald's guy. If you believe that he's guilty, and so far he's just a suspect. We're not saying he's guilty.
He's guilty.
He sure looks like it.
Hey, Bill, I checked here. New York does not have the death penalty right now. Does not have the death penalty. So he's just going to get life imprisonment, which is maybe more of a torture for this guy. Life of privilege should be stuck in the can in some Sing Sing or some really shithole that he'll be stuck in. So
right. Look where he was living right here.
Yeah, no, rich guy. Yeah, rich.
$1 million homes.
He was a fan, like I said, of the Unabomber, and he was in Goodreads, and he complimented a lot about the work there, and he was influenced, and that tells me, I mean, everything he had to go down that path. Man, you can have all the money in the world and you still become a loser. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
That's a loser. That's a loser, man.
And the crazy part about it is a whole subplot to this. Now he's getting all these female fans and people saying he's innocent. These females say, he's a good-looking guy, he's a murderer, but I forget all the things they're saying. Mary's found a whole bunch of crazy.
Did you see that one female on the video you had? She was, oh my, she was all excited when she saw him.
I mean, come on, this guy took somebody's life from behind. I mean, look, we all know the Menendez brothers. The health
Remember
care.
The Menendez, how many people want to marry the Menendez brothers?
Oh yeah,
Eric and Lyle.
I think they made a TV show about women that were on the outside and wanted to marry murderers that were on death row. Meanwhile, they're never going to get out. So the mind of people still gets to me. I can't believe the way people think nowadays, or it's just unbelievable. There's an idea. Hey, I'm going to date someone that's on death row.
That's awful.
Where the hell does that come from? But hey,
Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker in California,
he had a lot too.
Weird, ultra violent guy who did horrific things to people, including elderly and killing them. And just horrible things. And all these women want to be with him, marry him on death row. Are you freaking kidding me? What is wrong with these low self-esteem of lost women?
Ted Bundy, the same thing. Ted Bundy also had quite a bit of followers too. So it's
the judge complimented Ted Bundy. He says, if you didn't do this, you probably could have been a good attorney. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right. So we're going to circle back to that in a minute. Now, do we know, is there anybody anybody know if there's been a confession yet? I'm sure that everybody's been up as you know what all day long. Louis, have you heard anything?
Nothing. Nothing. I just took a peek around and I heard nothing. I reached out to people that I knew in New York City. Everything is very tight-lipped. Nobody's saying a word.
This is going to be a big case for the media. It's going to be an extravaganza.
Oh yeah,
New York City. With
this could be the trial of the century. We'll see how it plays out here.
Well, I know how it's going to play out already. He's going to get life, but that's it. But it's just going to be such a juggling act for the prosecutor's office and everyone to get their what's that 15 minutes of fame.
Oh yeah. They'll have some real fame, almost like O.J. Simpson, right? He'll have the Johnny Cochran type or Shapiro or Barry Scheck or whoever's going to step up is going to be another big name because it's going to be a big trial. And they say, you know what, we'll do this one. And they have the money. They definitely the Mangione family has deep money, and they have also political connections. A lot of it. So
who is his political? He's got a relative in Republican politics.
It's another Mangione. I can't remember his first name, but he's a state representative out of Maryland, and he's a registered Republican. He voted, but while I was reading, he wasn't affiliated with either party. He was kind of independent, which is interesting.
Right.
What's going to be interesting is the amount of money the immediate family has. Does anybody know where their money comes from yet, or how this case became so twisted? Evidently,
his money.
Yeah, evidently he's living with family in that house. I don't know.
Yeah, they own a lot of nursing homes throughout the state of Maryland. So that's kind of ironic there, Bill.
We did an expose. We did an expose on assisted living and got hit with a 7-page cease and desist letter, even though we had all the facts, because libel and slander and absolute defense is the truth. So all the cases that are coming up, we have the truth and the documents and the witnesses and the video deposition. So we're going to be going very active soon. All right. So let's move on. So we found some of his social media accounts. We screenshotted a lot of things. And one of them, which we didn't put up, I don't know where it is. If we did put it up, there's actually an x-ray of his spine. I don't think it's his spine or a family member's spine with hardware in it. Whose x-ray was that? I don't know. I have an assistant over here who's,
That's all right.
So let's roll into this other case real quick. Now we have Daniel Penny case. What happened here, guys? And the name of the victim, unfortunately, evidently he was mentally ill, but he was
Jordan Neely.
Jordan Neely, yep.
It's unfortunate that the man had to die and not get help, but I believe Daniel Penny's a hero. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's a hero. I don't think he's a hero at all.
What happened, Tommy? Let's hear from your point of view.
Listen. You guys got to face the facts here. I'm just going to say what I feel about it and the research that I've done on it. This guy's supposedly he only did one tour, 4 years in the Marines.
Yeah.
I don't know why he only did one tour. They're not saying anything about it. Why he was only there for 4 years, I don't know, and they're not talking about it. The only thing that I really hate about this case, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not a black and white case. Not a black and white case." That's bullshit. Of course, it's a black and white case. When I say it's a black and white case, I just mean the guy that killed the individual was white, and the supposedly victim was black. So it is a black and white case, and it's in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Now, reverse this for a second. A guy like me, Tommy, with a long criminal history. If I was to choke out a white guy on the F train, you think they're gonna let me go?
You get a medal. Who you kidding? In New York, you get a medal.
You kidding me? They're not gonna let me go.
Come on, Tom. You get a medal. In New York, you get a medal. In the South, they'd hang you.
I'm just trying to figure out what did Neely do? What did he do? He didn't have a weapon.
I think he was intimidating, screaming. Yes, raging, screaming, intimidating the passengers. Yeah.
Mental health. He did not hurt anybody. He did not grab anybody. He did not try to do anything to anyone. Now, if you're this trained Marine, you mean to tell me you couldn't just hold that? Neely's a skinny little homeless guy, right? That had no strength. This guy had no strength at all. You mean to tell me you couldn't save that guy's life? Don't get me wrong. If he had been in a position to hurt someone, use everything that you can in your power to hurt mobilize or even have to kill this son of a bitch. Okay.
Right.
But that wasn't the case. You know, you know how many people I get on the subway with that's rampant and raging and screaming and hollering, I'm a kid. They're all mental people. Do I watch this individual? Yes, I do, because I watch their hands. I don't watch their face because I'm an expert. I'm a trained professional. I watch their hands and see what's going to be in their hands. Like the officers say, show me your hands. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at him as a hero at all. You know, I really don't. And you hold a guy for 15 minutes with 2 other people involved holding him. If you hold a guy for 15 minutes in the chokehold, he's gonna die. You know what I'm saying? So I
understand your perspective, but I do understand, and they didn't know this at the time of the incident. He had a history of violently assaulting people on the subway, and he was saying to everybody on that train, somebody's gonna die today, and he was threatening people. And not everybody's big and bulky like you or this guy Penny. So I'm sure there was some slight people and elderly people and women
They were very nervous and scared. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Louis?
Yeah.
Tough situation. I won't call him a hero because you don't keep somebody. I hold rank in judo. I know how to choke people. I've been choking people since 1970. And that particular choke that he used is called the rear naked choke, better known as Hadaka Jimi. Okay. Now you could choke somebody 2 different ways. You could choke their airway. You could choke their carotid artery, or you could do both. There were other ways to control that guy, and he should have. You have to just. He may have crossed the line a little bit, but I do understand why he did it. You know, fear. A lot of people operate, and they don't know what it's like to operate in fear. I don't know how scared that guy was, but you know, you get fired up and you do things that you normally wouldn't do if you were very, very calm. I didn't want to see the guy die, but I definitely would have liked to see, you know, his teeth scraped on the concrete a little bit just to calm him down. I think the system failed him. They let him go. He was a recidivist criminal, and people like this should not be out on the street. Okay. I said this all the time. When I was a cop, I never looked at people for their skin color. I looked at them and I rated and I handled things accordingly based on the crime that they were committing. And it just so happened that this was a white guy. You know, this is why I mind my business. White guy happened to be a black guy. I think if he was a Hispanic or a Chinese or another white guy, I think the same thing would have happened. That's just my personal opinion. You know, at what point in time, I don't get involved at all anymore. Unless you're hurting a friend of mine or my family, I'm going to leave.
Yeah,
because it doesn't pay to get involved. You know, only God knows what it costs this guy in legal fees. And, you know, you get people who want to throw gas on a hot fire and make it a racial thing. I don't feel the racial angle here. That's just my personal opinion. And Tom, you're entitled to yours as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'd help anybody. That's just who I am. I don't do nothing no more. And by the way, I see crazy people on the train or what have you. You know what I do, right? I stop picking my nose.
Get that. I understand.
Now, for my audience, Louis B. there, who was just speaking, was a former New York City mafia detective, made some big cases against the Genovese and Gambino families, and he has some insight about what it's like to do policing in New York. And everybody on this screen with me are highly trained to deal with situations like this. And I'm sure when I say hero, maybe I should temper that a little bit. But if this guy's got people so terrorized on a train that people had to intervene and jump on him, right. I mean, I don't think the guy intended for him to die. Now, Ignacio, we want your input here. And then Ignacio is a retired ATF agent with some additional training on how to restrain people and what's appropriate and what's not. Now, Louis seemed to know the exact name of a type of hold that the guy was using. Tommy's a gigantic, powerful man that you know, keeps an eye on his hands, and you know he can handle the guy and restrain him in a different way. You know, you could probably grab the guy's wrist and restrain him.
Right, right. I mean, you could give the guy a big bear hug and pin him down and hold him that way with everybody else holding him down also. And that way, until the train stops, the subway stops, and police come on board also. But, hindsight's 2020, right? He reacted quickly. I mean, he's not law enforcement. The guy is in the Marines. He was a sergeant at Camp Lejeune, I think, or somewhere.
He was in Camp Lejeune. He was in Marines for 4 years.
Yeah.
What actually gets me is that no one else that was. I wish I could see the video of that on that, because no one even tried to help the individual that was being choked out, watching him die. I would, if I'd have been on the train, of course I would have helped out. I would have neutralized the situation. I say, man, you choked him out. He's dying. He don't look like he's breathing. Something like that. Because I think human life is worth preserving, and you know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
Trust me.
No, I agree.
If I feel threatened, or I feel someone on the street is threatened, I know I'm different. I know I handle situations different, but I don't know who was on the train. I don't know what Neely actually did, but what they're all saying over the media is that he didn't have any weapons or any guns or any knives or any. He's just running his mouth. That's what mental people do in the state of New York. When I'm in New York City and I'm running somewhere, I come across 50 Neelys a day on the freaking train. 50 a day. I want to do choke 50 guys out a day.
And that's why people want to avoid the subways, right? People get nervous. It has a bad reputation. And I saw that the mayor and the commissioner had the signs and, hey, violence in the subway's gone down last month, folks. This block's to come down. People are getting nervous. You had the subway shooter. What was it, last year, earlier part of the year, opening up on 36 rounds fired. I mean, people really get nervous being on subway. The problem is, if you can't defend yourself, and this is how we've talked about this, criminals know that you're not allowed to carry in there. That's why people know they can victimize it, because the criminals don't follow the laws. And what you do is these gun laws hurt the average citizen from defending themselves from these kind of criminals, for male, female, what have you. That's the point there. And then you have to survive these kind of techniques. Maybe if you had a taser, right? They have their gun there. They just tase this guy because they feel a threat to him. He goes down. That's it. Stays down. Gets up. They tase him again and be done with it. And he's still alive. But the jury had a tough time. They were deadlocked on the manslaughter, and the lesser charge they dismissed pretty quickly. I guess they're tired.
That's what I don't understand. How can you be deadlocked on the manslaughter charges, and then all of a sudden
dismissed the lesser charge like nothing?
That doesn't make any sense. So
the only thing I could think of is that they were tired of this whole situation. Right. Yeah, you know how juries are. Jury nullification, sometimes they get tired. I said, all right, you already dismissed this. I don't like where this is going. We're done with this. We've been here almost a week already or more. We're done. We're moving on. And that's
I got a question just to add into the mix. Now that we have a new co-host, Tommy's going to be a regular here. Tommy, from your perspective, then, similar situation. Maybe to you it's not similar. George Floyd.
No.
Was he properly restrained?
No, he was murdered. He was murdered. George Floyd, he was murdered. All right, he was choking him for like 6 minutes. He was murdered. That's killing somebody. He killed him.
And they previously had beef. He had previous beef. Didn't he have previous beef with Chavez or with him, or vice versa? They had issues between them.
No, he did not. They accosted him by his car, by his vehicle, because he gave them. Supposedly he had counterfeit, and he gave him a $20. He got killed for a $20 counterfeit bill. Now, here's the thing. Don't misunderstand me. You know who I was a fan of? I was a fan of Bernie Getz. Okay, you guys remember Bernie Getz?
Yeah.
Subway shooter.
Okay. Bernie Getz, the subway shooter, right? When he had 4 individuals that were violent and they had weapons, he took them out. That's a hero. Bernie Getz was a hero of mine. Okay, but when I see somebody homeless, mental conditions, mentally screwed up in the head, I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to. It just doesn't seem right to me. If you had somebody in your family that had mental issues, and that happened to you, and you actually feel the difference of it being a relative or someone you love, then you think about it differently.
So do you think he intended to kill him? Because he had a training, some sort of training.
He didn't have no damn training.
Where he had to know that much pressure for that length of time could have been fatal.
Yeah.
Anytime that you have your elbow, your arm wrapped around somebody's neck, you could die. Like Gardner in Staten Island, you could die. If you got something stopping down, you're gonna die. Okay. Yeah. Even Louis knows things. Like Louis a trained guy with this stuff. That will kill you.
Let me just say this. What I noticed there, he probably had some Brazilian jiu-jitsu training, but just by the way he locked that choke on, that's my assumption. And he had his legs wrapped around the guy. That's pure Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I am not a fan of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I don't like take people to the floor. I feel that 99.9% of the cops out there are undertrained. And since they're undertrained, they get very scared. And you know what happens? They use excessive force.
Absolutely. That's what happened with Floyd, Bill, what you just asked me with that officer. That officer had been on the job for quite some time. And he was so stupid, he didn't know what he was doing. And he killed him on, the guy was losing his air on video. The guy was dying on video. If he had,
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Even the trainee told him, "Hey, that's enough. What are you trying to get him up?" And he blew him off. Like,
listen.
Did the trainee get convicted? I don't remember. Did the trainee?
Yeah,
get
they all got
he lost his job.
convicted.
Yeah, and that's tough for him because he was trying to do the right thing there, and that was kind of tough. I think Chavez was at fault there, and then
that cop there was a complete idiot. Listen to me. This is me. I had a partner of mine who was also a martial artist. You know what? They used to call us the ninjas. Okay? Because what we did was we took people to the ground, face down, fold up their legs. Okay? Give me a hand. Give me a finger. Nobody dies from broken fingers. Fingers snap like carrots. I put on.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Strange pain.
Trust me.
Once I break the fingers, you can't use your hand. You're not going to hit me anymore.
That.
Okay. Once the cuffs are on, all beatings stop. I stand the guy up and I say, "Listen, it's over. Don't continue." That's all there is to it. And then after that, he gets in the car. I got on against him.
A lot of the pressure point moves kind of work. I don't know any of them.
I don't like pressure points.
You have that little thing that you
Kubotan.
Yeah, what is that little thing that applies pressure and drops people? Right?
Well, I work on joints. What I'm doing is I'm destroying the mechanics of the body. If I destroy the mechanics of the body, you can't use your hand if I break your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's very simple. And nobody dies from a broken finger. And I come from the days where I took my jack out and opened your head. But I got a little bit more scientific as time went on.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you something about I can't breathe. Real quick. You guys know in 2000 I was arrested in Fort Lauderdale. I got pulled over, nonviolent car stop. I didn't see the officer. When I saw him, I pulled over. Went out to speak to him. He crushes my leg instead. He gets me at gunpoint, get on the ground. I guess you just broke my leg. I'm yelling because my leg's bleeding all over the place. And then he starts trying to pull me. I grab his collar. I said, "You're going to break my leg." And so when he touched a police officer, it's like battery on law enforcement in Florida, right? So eventually they dropped that charge, but he was on the radio, 1013. I said, 1013, my ass, get your freaking 1013. Officer needs assistance. Get your car off my leg. I'll go on the ground. I don't even know what the hell you pulled me over for. So eventually he hits me with pepper spray. I twist loose. His partner pulls up. I'm not going to say their names here. Gets me on the ground, handcuffs me. I got pepper spray. He grabs the handcuffs, puts his knee in my back, punches me right in the back, breaks 3 of my ribs. I'm gasping for air. He's got all his weight on me. We all know positional asphyxia, right? I can die. I got broken ribs. I got pepper spray in my airway, mucus everywhere. I'm pleading, like that. I felt I was dying. These are the days before they had body cams.
You were dying, Bill. You were.
Right. And then so he eventually gets off. They put me in the car. Oh, they bring me to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, right? So I'm in the back of the car. Back then, I can get out of the cuffs pretty easy. I slip them out past my ass through my feet. They left a little window open, but they had the heat blasting and parked me in the sun. They thought it was funny. It was making the pepper spray burn up more. I got my hands in front of me. When they went to the window back at the Fort Lauderdale jail to book me in, I'm in the Sally Port. I saw 2 detectives coming out of the main building. And when I saw them, I took that window and I pulled it in and shattered that window. And I jumped out of that car and I landed on my fist in the Sally Port of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, trying to live, trying to breathe. Then they left me in the holding cell for hours. Then when the main jail came to pick me up in the van to bring up the felony arrest that they had made from the police department, they bring them over to the main jail, which is what was it, 6th Street, Ignacio, something like that, by the river.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I've been in there like 3 years, in the past. But anyway, so they get ready to bring me there, and I can't get up. My legs, blood everywhere, the bones exposed. I'm still gasping. I've got blood and mucus everywhere, and I'm still having trouble breathing because of the broken ribs. And the lady says, "What's wrong with you? Can't you walk?" I said, "No, they've been lying to me, saying they're taking me to the hospital for the last 6 hours." She says, "I'm not transporting them until you take them to the hospital." I told her what happened. But so, yeah, I know the whole feeling of can't breathe. And I thank God that I'm still alive here to tell my stories. And in the days before cameras, a lot of that stuff went on. It still goes on. and I was a
Yeah.
victim of it. This all spiraled out of control to a lot of years in prison for me for no reason whatsoever. If there was cameras back there, he pulled me over for a crack in the windshield. I was driving my friend's vehicle, and I didn't even know. And he was beside me in traffic, saw that, activated his lights, not his sirens, so I didn't notice him right away. And he got pissed, and I ended up going to prison. I mean, if it was this day and age, those two officers would be the ones in prison. I would have a fat paycheck and telling a different story. Instead, it destroyed my life, stripped me of my kids, my family, being with my mother when she died, and I ended up in prison for a very, very long time for essentially nothing, for a crack in the windshield. So I'm not saying I'm an angel. I'm not saying I'm an angel. I didn't live, a life of crime. I did, but it's funny how they kind of know the things you're doing. And they know there's a body of work behind all of us. You guys know this as people that were in the game or in law enforcement, and you only get caught for a small percentage of it. And I thank God for that. And you get a plea bargain and everything, is worked out in the end. But in this case, I literally went to prison for all those years, then escaped and got another 15-year consecutive sentence. Started with a crack in the windshield. Yeah. Almost got killed over a crack in the windshield. And the Fort Lauderdale police said it didn't happen that way. I have all the proof. So, and then my lawyer, Jim Lewis, screwed my whole case up and told the guy what to say in depositions because they're both professors at Nova University and they're personal friends. So he had him clean up the deposition, and I had to fire Jim Lewis, who had the nerve then to run for attorney general. So I know positional asphyxia, and I can't breathe. I'm begging for my life.
I wouldn't even attempt to put my arm around somebody's neck. I got 22-inch arms. I wouldn't even attempt to put my arm around someone's neck because I would actually kill them. God has blessed me with something, okay? God has blessed me. A lot of fights and stuff that I get into, I mean, I can hold a person down with like 2 fingers because of my strength. I bench press over 500 pounds. I'm not trying to impress anybody. Wow. I know my strength. I know what I could do, and I know if I could hurt somebody. Everybody should know that about themselves. This is what gets me. If this guy was a trained Marine, he should have known that that's going to cause his death. This is what I got a gripe with, okay? A 24-year-old homeless maniac. I get it. If he was, don't get me wrong, and I want everybody in the public to understand this. I would not be thinking like this in 1984. I would be applauding this crap. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not like that anymore, okay? Because I follow Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. I'm trying to tell you, this guy knew what he was doing, or he didn't. And it ended in the result of this 24-year-old mental patient being killed. If this guy had a weapon, if this guy grabbed somebody, did something, I would understand that. You know what I'm saying? I can hold a guy down and search him at the same freaking time. I can hold you down by your back, putting pressure on you and search you for my safety. Okay, because I don't argue with nobody. If I ever come across somebody that looks at me wrong, I don't care about that. There's lots of times I'm in a club or I'm hanging out somewhere and I got people eyeballing me, whatever the case may be, whatever. I go over to that person and I'd grab him, I'd threaten him, and I'd say, why do you keep sweating me? Are you trying to follow me? And then I'd search him right in front of his face for my protection. That's what I'm trying to say. When that guy was down, they had 3 people there. Why didn't somebody just see if he didn't have a weapon, hold his hands? Why you got to choke him? That's what human life to me. And a 24-year-old, that could have been my son. My son is 21, is 20. I'm just saying, why do you? I just that pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? If I run into Daniel Penny, I would like to put him in the chokehold for 15 minutes and see how he would like it. That's how I feel about that.
Definitely, you're expressing your opinion. We don't encourage violence on the show. We're all expressing our opinions here. And the show is for breaking news, entertainment purposes, and for crime prevention. We're sharing our experiences, and rightfully so. We all have some outrage over certain things. Now, my mother was mentally ill, and different situation. But yeah, I feel what you're saying exactly but again. And they didn't know it at the time. He had a history of assaulting people on the subway, and he was threatening to, somebody's going to die today. So I don't know how bad it got. None of us was there. I don't think there was any footage, any cell phone footage or anything of actually what happened until the end.
I think some of the witnesses, some of the females were shaking. They were nervous. They feared for their lives. They testified. I was reading the transcript a little bit, what they were saying. And he stepped in. I think he was acting like a gentleman. He was trying to do the right thing. But, sometimes you go overboard and the adrenaline kicks in and you zone out, or sometimes you get caught up in the moment. And that maybe could have happened because he's not trained law enforcement. guy was being a soldier, being a Marine is not being in law enforcement. It's not understanding use of force.
True.
And it's not. It's two different mentalities. So that could have kicked in there, and then you get zoned out, and you're in the moment, and you realize, oh shit, the guy's dead now, and that could have happened.
Yeah.
But he said he had no intention of killing him. He went in there to keep him away, and he did not want to cause, because he has his own life, and he was there doing his training and going back to his life, and it's unfortunately he's trying to be a good Samaritan and trying to be a shit show.
Louis,
Go ahead,
final thoughts on that case, Louis, and then we're going to wrap the show.
The poor victim did not come with a calling card that day. Nobody knew he was mentally ill. Nobody knew he was homeless. Nobody knew he had open warrants on him. Nobody knew nothing about him. This guy reacted. Everybody today is an MMA fighter. Everybody wants to be an MMA fighter. They're not really trained properly. That's my humble opinion. And you take things a little bit too far, and you could definitely kill somebody real quick. I try not to put my hands on anybody. You know what I carry all the time? A cane. Okay, that's my weapon of destruction. Leave me alone. I'm an old man, and that's all I want to be. Leave me alone.
You're not an old man, Louis.
No, I'm old.
I can relate to something that was being discussed here right now. So here in Florida, in Boca Raton, we had the first mass shooting in Boca Raton history at 365 North Ocean Boulevard. Guy, for whatever reason, he was at this residence. There was two residences. I was working for the organization at the time for Investment Limited. So it's just no secret where I was working. So apartments 101 and 102 were occupied by women and a guy who were allegedly involved with nefarious and allegedly it's speculated illegal activities, which after the fact, when we had to clean up the crime scene, I personally saw evidence of and took a bunch of photographs of. So what happens is this gentleman who was known to try to rob drug dealers, he's come down from, I think, Boynton Beach. He's from Georgia. He went in there to try to jack somebody. And so he grabs what he grabs during the robbery with this one, what he thought was just one chick alone. And as he's running out with her bag of cash to his vehicle, she comes, and evidently she had nothing on from the bottom down. So she's running in the parking lot with nothing on. And we had just left the property minutes before, myself and my supervisor. I'm the only guy with a valid license, so driving this guy. We just left the property, and I got people to tell me, oh, you're Captain Save-A-Ho, don't rush in, and Ignacio, you've told me sometimes rather than be a hero, it's better to be a good witness, right? Right. And then remember what you saw, or maybe try to capture the video. So I wasn't there. However, when she chased him to the car, from my understanding and the read of the police report and the videos, he was getting beat up by this girl, reached in to get a gun, and a guy came to her aid. He gunned them both down, killing her pretty much instantly. The guy went to the back alleyway where I had to clean up the blood and the remains and the gore and the remains from the ambulance, trying to resuscitate him and her puddle of blood. And then the other gentleman tried to help a mechanic that was nearby, a friend of theirs. He came to the aid. He got shot several times, ran begging for his life now. And the guy opened up on him some more.
Yikes.
Incredibly, that guy survived. So I get it when bystanders will come to the aid of something maybe like that, but Ignacio talked some sense into me. I think Louis has too. Sometimes it's better, because if I was there, I'd be one of the people rushing in to help. I'd probably be dead right now. And I have, people that care about me say, you can't always be Captain Save us such and such. And I get it, because it could get me killed, and I have to worry about, not worry, but be concerned about, my new family and being there for them and not trying to intervene in everybody's horror stories, but I get it that people want to jump in, it's sort of in our nature, especially as guys, you got
to be smart, Bill. You got to be smart about, because you don't want to be buried, right? you want to live a full life, especially someone with a firearm. You don't have one. Be very careful, man.
Only God knows what this guy's legal fees are. His legal bills on. Now his life is going to be upside down because he got involved.
Yeah.
I would have
And
gotten
then
involved.
the other guy's family, the other
Hey,
guy's
Bill,
family.
we're gonna wrap it up a little bit. I gotta go.
Yep, we are. And then, so the gentleman who was unfortunately killed, mentally ill, his family suffering too. Our prayers go out to them and the victims of this guy, Luigi Mangione. So we're going to leave you with this. On the first case, this guy was captured on this poster here. Evidently, he is the shooter. He's captured with the gun in McDonald's. He's a McDonald's fanatic. He's a very affluent, wealthy, young,
Extremely wealthy
individual who's fanatical about McDonald's. And so I have the Hamburglar shirts available, but it's just crazy. We found his social media, and there's this stuff with his x-rays of a spine with some hardware in it. And so we're going to wrap up this show. But what I'm going to do is let the perp walk play one more time of the arrest of the killer in New York City. And so Luigi Mangione, evidently.
Mangione, like Chuck Mangione.
Mangione. Right. Luigi Mangione.
Luigi Mangione.
Tommy, thank you so much for joining us again. Louis as well.
Problem, guys. I love it. Guys. Sounds good. Awesome. I got to go. All right, guys. Till next time.
Good night, everybody. We're going to run.
Take care. God bless. Be safe.
Be safe, guys, out there. Be safe. Take care. Bye.
We're going to run the perp walk right now.
After this, we didn't want to miss this.
There he is.
Oh.
Perp walk. This could have been at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Well, that was it.
After this, we didn't want to miss this.
You know what's interesting? Let me pull this off the screen. Is that I noticed NYPD is already there. That arrest happened in Altoona, PA. They're hoping for a confession, of course. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. Any final thoughts on any of these cases?
Yeah, Louis.
I just mind my own business. Okay, as far as this Luigi Mangione, I want to know what incited him to do that. Okay, insurance companies are constantly shortchanging people. We pay premiums forever, and a lot of times we don't get our benefits. I just had a specific situation where my own insurance company screwed my wife over. It was in a very serious car accident, and she got hit. Her car got pushed 221 feet. We sued the guy who did it, and she had surgery on her arm and pain and suffering, and she can't lift her shoulder. And we had a benefit on our insurance policy called underinsured. If somebody doesn't have enough insurance, you sue your own insurance company. My own insurance company wanted to give us only $5,000. They completely screwed us over. So, insurance companies are the richest corporations in the world, and the question is why. People are getting disgusted by this here. And they're attached to Big Pharma. They're attached to this. They're attached to that. They are setting up corporations now to take over doctors' practices. Doctors are no longer in business by themselves. They work for these corporations. They tell them, but you can only spend 7 minutes with a patient. I come there, I got something wrong with my chest. It might take 10, 15 minutes to figure out what it is. So you can't throw me out in 7 minutes. It's just not right.
And so UnitedHealthcare, the CEO.
Yes.
From what I heard the other day.
Brian Thompson.
This guy, and condolences to his family. That was an umbrella for many companies, including pharmaceutical and medical care and insurance.
Correct.
So, Tommy, any final thoughts, Tommy?
Yeah. On the first case with Luigi, he probably, it could be as simple as this: spoiled rich kid. He didn't get enough hugs from his mother and his father, but he got a lot of money. Privileged. This guy is so privileged, it's ridiculous. I'm surprised he didn't have a jet plane waiting for him instead of a bicycle. I don't feel any remorse that he got caught. I'm glad he got caught. I feel bad for Brian Thompson's family because my life has changed. I've seen enough death in my life. I want to see life now. I don't want to see death anymore. So when I see someone's life just thrown away or taken away for no reason, it pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? It just pisses me off, And you got everybody got their opinions. I understand that. I get it. But you're never going to know how something feels until it freaking happens to you.
Absolutely.
If I'm on that, if I'm on a train and I see something like that happening, all right, I'm going to neutralize it. And if I lose my life in the case, so what? But I'm going to neutralize it. I'm going to save everybody's life. That's what I'm saying.
All right, guys, we got to sign off tonight. This is breaking news. It's going to be up here. We're going to follow up probably tomorrow. We're going to see if this man has confessed, if there's any more to this, and especially motivation. We do know he had some sort of beef with this industry in general. I think somebody was denied care, maybe even him. And guys, thank you again so much for joining us. We're signing off tonight.
Always
God
a pleasure.
bless.
God bless.
Everybody stay safe.
You too.
All right, guys. I did that.